May 1945. Goring in Allied captivity. A friendly atmosphere. A week after the capitulation of the Third Reich, Hermann Göring, Hitler's second-in-command, surrenders to the Allies and calls a press conference. Goring is treated like a VIP, all at the expense of American taxpayers. He even poses for a souvenir photo in front of the Texas flag, still wearing his marshal's uniform. This is another time when Göring demonstrates his charisma and above-average intelligence, as well as his ability to manipulate his surroundings and dominate others. When the photos reach Eisenhower, he is furious. He forbids their publication, orders Göring's arrest and imprisonment. The Third Reich's marshal is then transferred to Nuremberg.
He could be sweet. I would never let the same guard on his door more than once a month if I could keep him spread out right, because he could win you over. If you allowed him to, the first you know, he want you to maybe do something for him, and if you do, I'll see that you get something out of my clothes in there one of these days when I have a chance.
The Nuremberg trials begin, and Göring makes his last move. From the very beginning of the trial, Göring tries to dominate the proceedings. When asked to plead guilty, he attempts to give a speech instead.
Without the notorious medals, the once mighty Nazi number 2 still postures in the limelight. While he waited in the dock, he wrote a statement which he tried to read before entering his plea. He said, "Before I answer the question whether I am guilty or not guilty," and that was as far as he got.
Bevor ich die Frage des Gerichtshofes beantworte, ob ich mich schuldig oder nicht schuldig bekenne, I informed the court that defendants were not entitled to make a statement. You must plead guilty or not guilty. Bekenne mich im Sinne der Anklage nicht schuldig.
Furious, the one-time Reichsmarshal shouts, "I declare myself not guilty."
Göring not only defends himself, but also advises the other defendants. He acts as their leader and authority figure.
And one day, Donitz was on trial, and they were asking him a question should be answered yes or no. He went like this to Goring. Goring went, "Just that much." And I thought, uh-oh.
He quickly becomes a star among the guards, giving out autographs.
Goring is the biggest man in here, but he always gave me dirty looks, so I was a little afraid to ask him for his autograph. And then, after a while, it finally dawns on me. I said, wait a minute, what is the man going to do? I'll ask him. The only thing he can say is no. So I went up to Goring's cell, and I believe I said Hermann, which is a mistake. You know, don't ever call Goring Hermann. I says, he's not going to give me his autograph. He's not, you know, the way he's looking, he's just staring. I was just about ready to pull back. And he grabs the paper and the pen, he signs his name. In 50 years, this will be valuable. That's the only conversation I've ever had with Hermann Göring, and that's the only time I ever spoke to him.
After 4 months, it is time to interrogate the Marshal of the Third Reich. By that time, Göring will have lost 60 pounds. He is also battling his addiction.
He was taking, no, it wasn't morphine, I got it, oxycodone or something like that. Anyhow, he had a box this long, this wide, and this thick, or this high. And the guys were carrying it in, and I said, wait a minute, I want to check everything. I looked at it, I said, what is that? And the American doctor was there, and he said, those are pills. He said, give me that box. And he took them and left. He ended up later that same day told me that he had the people count. There was 30,000 pills in there, and Goring was taking 40 a day. And it took them 7 months, him and the German doctor working together, to wean him off of these pills down to nothing. He probably went from 265 pounds coming in to maybe even 190, 195, but at least no more than 200 pounds. So I said we did him a...
With his mind restored, he makes the courtroom his own private theater.
I have never expressed my agreement with the theory that one race should be considered as a master race superior to the others. But I have emphasized the difference between races.
trying to embarrass them with his testimony as to how great the Nazi state really was and that they just didn't understand that. He was challenging them at all times. He was the story.
After a few days, Prosecutor Jackson begins his cross-examination of Goering. Goering turns his answers into speeches. The prosecutor intervenes.
Well, let's omit that. I haven't asked for that. If you'll just answer my questions, we'll save a great deal of time.
However, the judge supports Goering's position.
But he is not to be confined simply to making direct answers, yes or no.
I shall bow to the ruling, of course.
My feeling was that Jackson was not very good at cross-examination. And here he was against one of the sharpest characters that anybody had ever been asked to put on trial, I suppose. Göring won the day, as it were.
Such situations repeat themselves. Goering embarrasses the prosecutors.
We would ask him a question, and he would, in his really, I'm a big shot type way, he'd answer it with a question, and it would stop them cold. Our commanding, or our Chief Justice Jackson would look at Lord Godfrey Lawrence, the Chief Justice from England, and they'd look at each other, and they'd look at the Russian judge, and he'd go like this. They'd call time out or recess or whatever, and the court will be adjourned for 15 minutes. He did that at least 2 or 3 or 4 times.
Only the Scottish prosecutor manages to pin him down.
Cross-examined Göring on the brutal execution of 50 RAF airmen. Their murder went against all the rules of war.
This, combined with the showing of concentration camp films, seals Göring's fate. On September 30th, 1946, the verdict is read. Göring is sentenced to death. However, he outwits the Allies once again. Someone supplies him with cyanide, and he commits suicide in his cell before the sentence can be carried out. Who? That remains a mystery.
4 people got it for him. I would never say the name of any one of them because I don't know, but they're the only 4 that could have done it and got away with it because of the interactions. But you hear everybody tell you how he got it. One of them, some guy's little German girlfriend gave him the capsule and hid it in a pen, and she gave Goering the pen, and that's baloney because he couldn't have a pen in there. We wouldn't let him have a pen in there, no, wouldn't it? And he was a guard. I was Goring's guard. Nobody was Goring's guard. It was whoever was on duty that day that was put on that cell was on it for 2 hours and off 4. Wouldn't see him again for a month on that same door, maybe 6 weeks. When he came into the prison, we took one out of his pocket. Now, as dumb as I was at 20 years old, I know that was a setup. He thought, well, here's a bunch of young kids in here going to guard me, and they got that capsule. They think that's all I got. Then we found a second capsule. The third one, I wasn't there when it was found. And then the fourth one, only 4 people could have done it. I don't know who that would be, but he got a 4th and committed suicide less than 2 hours before he was going to be hung. So, and one of my good guys was on the door, and he said all he did, they weren't allowed to put their hands under the covers. They had to sleep like this, again, in case they had a hidden capsule or something. He said he was laying there like this, and I knew he wasn't sleeping. He was just laying there looking at the wall, and he went like this and yawned. And he said, went like this and put his hands down, and I heard something go, like cracking of the glass. I looked over, and blood was running out of his lip. I hollered, ho, and the runners started, and they got doctors, and I ran over there. By the time we got there, the one doctor was there, and he said, it's cyanide. He killed himself.
Dziękuję za oglądanie filmu. Zachęcam do subskrybowania. Kolejny odcinek za tydzień.